Are you a solopreneur looking to 2 times your revenue to fund your lifestyle and give back? Well, this podcast is for you. We bring you inspirational guests sharing actionable tips to solve many of the struggles you face each and every day. And now over to your host, Paul Higgins.
Hello to the Build, Live, Give podcast. If you're a first-time listener, and if you enjoy it, please subscribe. If you're a regular, thanks for your support. Love to get your feedback at paul@buildlivegive.com. It means the world to me when you do. Our guest today is someone who worked in product development in the beauty industry and dedicated to create her own consulting business. So she left and thought that would be the main ticket. But after having years of $5,000 annually, a friend asked her a very simple question. If you don't like it, why do it? So this turned her to pivot to being a virtual assistant, a VA. And with the help of her husband, James, she has turned it into a VA agency with a very distinct model, helping to remove stress from solopreneurs' lives. Don't we all need more of that? So why listen? The 3-step process to work less, make more, how to hire leaders in your business, and how to rid yourself of the DIY mindset. They've also kindly given 2 great free resources in the show. So over now to Kristin Molenaar from YesBoss VA. Welcome, Kristin Molenaar from YesBoss VA to the Build, Live, Give podcast. Brilliant having you on, Kristen.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here with you today.
Well, we were talking beforehand that I think one of the best pitches I've ever had for someone getting on my podcast was from you. So big kudos to you. It's a great start to what some of your team do for you. But we'll get into that more in a moment. But why don't we kick off with something your friends or family know about you that we may not?
I love this, Paul. You want to embarrass me right away.
Get it in early.
Okay, so every single person that knows me in real life knows that I have a phobia of tags. So tags are like the things that you find on your clothing or on your bedding or on your pillows. Like, I don't know what it is. I actually have a childhood story of like my first experience with tags, and it was awful, but I don't know. I just hate them. Like, if I touch a tag, I have to wash my hands, and it sounds like this big OCD thing. I don't know what it is. My grandmother's convinced that I need to get over it. I'm convinced that she just needs to keep the tags away from me. I don't know.
So how do you go with flying?
Oh, gosh. I don't know. Whatever I can do to avoid them. That's it.
Right, because some of the, I don't know what it's like in the US. I haven't been there for a while, but here in Australia, you've got to put your tags on yourself now. They're trying to lower the cost on everything. So, yeah, I'm assuming checking into a Jetstar or a Virgin or a Tiger Air may not be the experience you'd want.
If it's a paper thing that like I can kind of tell myself, that's not really a tag. It's not sewn in. It's not like, I don't know. It's just, it mostly has to do with garments or like fabric and things sewn into that. That's more of the phobia there. I can deal with the paper stuff. I chalk that up to stationery.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I know for me, I don't know, sometimes, it could be 2 years I'm wearing a garment. In particular, let's face it, work from home, I've always got tracksuit pants on. I've got about 7 pairs. And I'll realise one day, like, I've never, ripped that tag. You know how you can rip it? I'm like, why have I been, itching or like it's been uncomfortable for 2 years? Why don't I just rip the tag off? So there we go.
You better believe none of my clothes have those on them. Like
No.
they get cut off very carefully before they ever touch my body.
Brilliant. Excellent. Well, I know you started in personal care, or from what I've seen on LinkedIn is, my research, you started in personal care and then you went into coaching people in that. And now since 2015, you've been running a brilliant VA business. But why don't you just take us through your summary of that journey of getting to where you are today?
Yeah. So before I ventured into the online world, I worked in the beauty industry. So I helped brands bring their ideas to market. So everything from helping with product formulation with skincare and makeup products through helping pick packaging and working with suppliers in foreign countries, like shipping stuff from Asia, all the way to getting the products on the market. It's called brand management for the beauty industry, but it really exposed me to this massive industry that I had never experienced. And I was able to learn a lot about project management. And I think that that's been a big key to my success as an entrepreneur. I left that last job in October 2014, and I thought, I've got experience here. Of course, this would be my business. I could keep doing this, but do it on my own. I proceeded to be a coach/consultant that made about $5,000 in an entire year. It was pretty devastating. I'll say that I thought that what it took to be an awesome employee would make me a fantastic business owner, and I could not have been further from the truth. So it was in January 2016, actually, that I was just tired of living in my in-laws' house with my husband and our 2 dogs. And I just felt suffocated by this lack of traction that I was getting. And so I went on a website called hiremymom.com, and I found a virtual assistant side gig. And that side gig, I realized, could be a business in and of itself. So I kind of became like an accidental entrepreneur, because all my true entrepreneur attempts were failures to that point. And since then, I've worked on growing a virtual assistant business, which we now function as a full-fledged agency.
Well, what a journey. And I know often, it's how long do I stick with something? When do I pivot?
Oh.
Like for you, tell us a little bit about that for you.
It's an interesting story. When I was really focused on the beauty industry as an entrepreneur, I had this preconceived idea that everybody who was saying that they loved their entrepreneur life was actually faking it. Like, I think because I hated it so much, I figured everybody else did. But in order to be good salespeople, everybody was kind of putting on this like fake, I'm so excited persona, if that makes sense.
Yes.
It was me really projecting how I felt internally on everybody else. And I became friends with somebody, really good friends with somebody that was also an entrepreneur. And it was my first taste of networking with other people in this industry. And I remember her telling me, it doesn't seem like you like what you do. And if you don't like what you do, why are you doing it? I had never really questioned it before. When you're an employee, you continue to get jobs that pay more because you have more experience, and you kind of work your way up a ladder, and unintentionally ended up in the beauty industry. And yes, I liked my work, but I don't particularly like the industry. I'm not a makeup girl. I'm more of like a logistics girl. I liked all the back end stuff. So it was in that moment that I realized, like, wow, I really need to reconsider things here because I don't love what I do. And in hindsight, I realized that's why I was never successful, is because I was pursuing something literally just for the money. There was no passion behind it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look, that's so powerful, because I mentor a lot of coaches and consultants, and it's not often, they love the fact of working for themselves, but you're right. Sometimes you just work for the wrong clients, you have the wrong business model, and it's, that hamster in the wheel. You just get used to not enjoying your job, because I must admit, like corporate, I love corporate, and, I was lucky enough to work for Coca-Cola for 18 years, but there was a lot of times where I didn't enjoy it, so I felt that was just the norm. So, what you're saying is 100% true. And it's funny, I was just having a conversation with Leslie from Hire My Mum the other day. So there's a little
She's
bit of
amazing. I've since then personally connected with her as well. She's fantastic.
Yeah, excellent. And you talked about this friend who shone the light on you, and I think it's always great because, the old saying, what you can't see the label on the jar from the inside. So that was Brent. Who else has supported you, particularly as you started to grow VA business?
When I realized that I was sitting on a business and not just, a virtual assistant gig, I became really serious about having people support me. So my husband, actually, we realized he could make more money quitting his job and then working in the VA business, because we could bring on more and more clients. Now, my husband does not work for me now. We've since discovered that working together really isn't what we want to do. But right away, I realized I could grow this a whole lot bigger if it isn't just me. And so aside from my husband, the first support that I brought in, I brought somebody right into the business. So I was making just $15 an hour doing the work for the first client that I brought on board, which was a huge blow to my ego at the time. I felt like, I was pretty successful in my corporate career, and now I'm sitting here charging $15 per hour. But in hindsight, it ended up being pretty fantastic. And I'll tell you why. Because I got assigned blog writing, and I thought I could do blogs, started to write blogs, hated writing blogs, and thought, you know what? I need to bring somebody else in to help me with this. No way I'm going to sit here and write blogs for $15 an hour. However, I will pay an intern $8 an hour all day long to write blogs and make $7 not doing a thing. And so my mind, the like entrepreneur mindset had stayed with me, and I was able, even at $15 an hour, to learn how to capitalize on building a team and delegation and bringing in like a full-fledged support system for myself so that there was no limit on how big I could grow.
Yeah, and I think, your experiences in product formulation, and I suppose, like you said, that sort of logistical side seems to really, is your passion, which now you're just applying to an industry that helps entrepreneurs. Is that like a fair summary? Like you've actually found what you love to do, you found that there's a need, and also people are willing to pay money for it.
When I got into being a virtual assistant, I didn't realize what you're saying, but I do now. Like, my passion is helping and serving entrepreneurs. Like, if I discover anybody anywhere that tells me about some business idea, I become like insanely attached to their business idea and helping them make it a reality. So I didn't realize that that was my passion, and that was a passion I could monetize. And so, yeah, absolutely. Like, I love helping my clients. And what's so cool about it too is that I feel like the people that work on my team are entrepreneurs in the sense of in and of themselves. And so I'm able to help not only provide support and get passionate about our clients' businesses, but also the people on my team getting passionate about what they're doing. So the trickle down from that has been really incredible for me. And I never in a million years would have guessed that the key to my personal and professional fulfillment would have come by way of finding virtual assistant gigs. I just never would have thought that.
There you go. Life always has twists and turns. So what we'll do now is go into the build section, and with the company name called YesBoss VA, it's pretty obvious what you do, but why don't you say it in your own words? So when someone comes to you and says, Kristen, what do you do? How do you explain that?
Yeah, so we are a one-stop shop for stressed out solopreneurs. So what we have found is that our ideal client and the people that we love working with most, they hit a certain point in their business where they can no longer grow because they're doing everything themselves. Like, look, you've only got so many hours in a day. You can only be so efficient before you hit your business is maxed out with it just being you. So we come in and we become that one-stop shop, meaning that we pair our clients with an account manager, and that account manager is responsible for holding the vision of your company with you, having your back, like removing all of that loneliness that you feel, but also being a practical help to you. And then internally, we have a team of virtual assistants who have a variety of skills. So that account manager works with you to figure out how to work with our entire team to run the back end of your business. So we have online business management, which is the day-to-day stuff that you do. And then we also do digital marketing implementation. So like those online launches and stuff. So for those entrepreneurs that are working by themselves, but don't necessarily want to figure out how to find and vet and hire and manage all of the amazing people on their team, we're kind of a shortcut to that team building process for them.
And the account manager, it sounds like they're nearly, the way that I interpret that is nearly like a project manager where, you brief them and then they go and make sure the work gets done. Is my interpretation right?
That is absolutely correct. And in the virtual assistant industry, we would call that more like an online business manager. But that is absolutely correct. The account manager wants to know all the things that are going on in your business so they can help you figure out like, hey, Paul, maybe you shouldn't be doing that. Maybe we should be doing that. They're like a soundboarding partner and then also putting everything into practice. A project manager is perfect term for it.
Yeah, and I think it's a great, look, to be honest, that's the way I structure my business. So, I ran an outsourcing or a VA business for 5 years until my health meant that I couldn't travel to the Philippines anymore, which I thought was unfair for my team. So I ended up winding it down. But I've kept the core team. That's what I have. I've got a brilliant business manager, Connie. And, whatever title you give her, it's effectively exactly what you say. And then we have internal team and then a load of experts around the world. On the experts part, like which you said, one-stop shop, do you then subcontract out to other people or is it all done within your team?
I would say that it's 95% in our team. It used to be a little bit lower than that because we just needed to build up our clientele to be able to justify things like adding a graphic designer and adding a copywriter to the team. So there are limits on what we do. Like I say that we are not copywriters, but we can content repurpose the heck out of your podcast episodes or your, Facebook lives or whatever. So there are some boundaries. But before that, what we would do with clients who had projects outside of our scope is we would use systems or platforms like Upwork to see if we could still accomplish that work for our clients. But the need for that has really almost completely disappeared just because as our client base grows, we're able to just build an even more robust team, which I think is cool because that means there's more team culture and we can keep all those projects among people that are committed to what we're doing. I like it that way.
Great. And you talk about a DIY mindset. What do you mean by that?
Oh, gosh. So what I'm seeing among a lot of entrepreneurs is that you decide that you want a business and the internet and all this really awesome marketers, really smart marketers are telling you if you want to do it, you got to figure it out. Like you have to do webinars and you have to figure out webinars. You have to become a podcast host and you have to figure it all out yourself. And it's a blessing and a curse this time we live in because we can learn all of the things ourselves. We've got YouTube, we've got Google. There's really no excuse for not learning something. However, the definition of entrepreneur is a visionary, like a leader. And when we're doing everything all by ourselves, I think what we're doing essentially is creating a job for ourselves. Yes, we're self-employed, but are we really being entrepreneurs when we're DIYing everything, when we're keeping everything on our own plate? I would say that that's not entrepreneurial. And in addition to just saying that I don't think it's entrepreneurial, Paul, I would love to share one of my quick hacks for people that are even at the beginning stages of business to kind of just drive the point home a bit.
Yeah, that'd be great. Go for it.
So what every entrepreneur that starts out is told to do is you need a freebie offer. You need some way to get somebody on your email list so that you can nurture them through email marketing. That's a big thing that 90% of people do to build their business. Now, what I see a lot of entrepreneurs doing is they're Googling and they're YouTubing how to connect my MailChimp account to my Squarespace website, right? We've all probably been there. Well, what happens is you spend 10 hours between figuring out how to do it and watching the videos, actually trying to implement it, and then troubleshoot it, and then fix the mistakes, and then be like, okay, I think I got it, but if I had to repeat it again, I would have no idea what I'm doing, right? So what I would say to the people in that situation, and you can apply this to so many things that you're doing in your business, is you could find a virtual assistant that could do that in 2 hours rather than you spending 10 hours, which let's also face it, if it takes you 10 hours, you probably also have some mindset stuff that you're dealing with in there. And that 10 hours ends up taking you a week because you're second guessing everything. What you can do is you can outsource these quick tasks to people. Our team charges $40 per hour and we're on the higher end, we're providing more of a luxury service, but I'm using that as a point to say you could pay somebody $40 an hour for 2 hours. You spend $80 and you've got it done literally in 2 hours. If you want to up your game a little bit, what I would say is outsource those tasks. And then whoever you're outsourcing to, ask them to provide a screen share recording of how they did that task so that you're equipped to do it next time if you want to. And it would literally just take you the 2 hours. It also provides the start of your SOP, which is like your standard operating procedures internally. So you now have an asset in your business because you've documented a process. So it has so many layers of wins on it. And I just want to encourage entrepreneurs, stop DIYing everything, start thinking about how can I get this done with less time and, more quickly? How can I just move past this?
Really wise words. And I think, these days also with project management softwares, we use Asana, but it's so easy to create a checklist now of the steps. So you can have the recording, which is great, but you can also, they can basically build it while they deliver it. And I think that's a really smart advice. Now, as far as, clients that first come on, because I must admit, I really struggle with why wouldn't you have a VA? I say it's essential, and you need a phone, you need a computer, and you need a VA as a solo, a coach, or a consultant. What are the things that you find people really struggle with when they first come on and start using your services?
We have identified that people rest in one of two camps typically when they work with us. And we've built some processes to try to help people that are struggling to become more like the people that are successful. But the thing that we have found is that the people that are really successful have figured out what moves the needle in their business and then put processes and delegation behind those things. Versus the people that come to us and they say to me on a discovery call, I know that I should be posting more on Instagram. So I want to hire you guys to really be consistent with my Instagram posting. Now, my question for them is, well, is your Instagram actually building, creating a profit for your business? If it's not, then is it really essential to your business? What I've found is when you delegate the non-essential, what you're doing is you're just adding overhead to your business that doesn't drive any profit. It doesn't drive any growth. And then you hit hard times, it becomes very easy to just cut that person out because they weren't adding to the bottom line anyways. What we do as an agency is we like focusing on the stuff that is essential in your business. So before you ever work with an account manager, we take inventory of your business with you and we sit down and figure out, what are the things that are moving the needle? And so we can know that that's where we should be focusing our effort. It has been so clear to us that either clients are doing that and then they keep working with us years down the road, or they're not doing that and they usually tell us that it's not working after about a month. There's not a whole lot of in between for us.
Yeah. Look, I think that makes sense. And for you, is there any sort of monthly revenue number or any key metric that you look at that helps you determine whether someone's going to be an ideal client for you from a can I afford this?
So when on our getting started page, we cite that we are ideal for somebody who's making at least $80,000 a year. That seems to be an ideal mark for us. But we also have signed people that feel really ambitious that they're going to hit that very soon, and we've helped them get there. So I feel more comfortable working with people that have that padding though, because if you don't, there are cheaper ways to outsource tasks. Like that example that I gave initially, you could go on Upwork and get that done. You don't have to necessarily build your team right away. So we're really for that person who's like, look, I am making as much as I can by myself. I've figured out sales. I have reoccurring revenue. I'm not starving here. I just need to get some more freedom from my business so then I can take it to the next level, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, look, it does. And how big's your team? So
we have 11 or is it 12? 11 or 12 people on our team currently.
Great. And for you, what are the key things that you're looking for when you're hiring your team?
So I lead leaders. That is how I look at my team. I look for that leader mentality, and character is huge for me. We have a really lengthy hiring process. It's about 7 steps. And in there, we really trip people up. We have this one test that kind of tests how much of a leader they really are. For us, this is the kind of test. And that is we have the people on our VA team. They are loading in a MailChimp email for us, and we don't give them a subject. So our objective is to figure out what they're going to do with the lack of information that we've given them. And at first, when we put this test into practice, we thought that what we wanted was for people to come back to us and say, hey, I noticed that there's no subject. Could you please provide the subject so I could complete this task for you? That's what we expected that we wanted. However, the leaders on our team really just like knocked it out of the park in the way that they performed in that test. And what they did was they actually put a subject, they made a subject line. They figured it out for themselves. Then when they sent the test to us, they called that out. They said, I noticed that there was no subject line, but in an effort to get this test completed, I put a placeholder subject line. You know, if you don't like it, you could always let me know and we can revise it. But I thought I would just go ahead and make a suggestion of what that subject line could be. What that tells me is that you're not going to sit around and wait for me to dictate every single part of your job. You're going to be proactive and want to get things accomplished. But you're also going to have that like respect with coming back to me and showing me like, look, hey, I did this thing and I want to get your approval on it because frankly, you know, you don't know what I want until you've worked with me for a little bit, right? So that leadership quality, or we've seen leadership qualities kind of shine through that test project that we've given our team.
Yeah, look, we do a similar thing. I think that's a brilliant idea. And we've got some values, and it's, around that proactivity. So, how are they always thinking the step ahead of you? So I think that's great. Now, as far as I used to, as I said, I ran a company for 5 years, a VA company. And one of the biggest objections I normally came up against was, I'll go get ready. I'll go get everything sorted, and then I'll come to you. It's nearly like I'm embarrassed how my business is running at the moment. I'll wait till it gets better. What do you say to people? And people listening right now, you're probably smiling and laughing and think, that is me. What do you say to people like that?
That's so funny. I think it kind of depends on who you are. If you have been saying that for months on end, it's just time to get somebody in there. Like this is just, it's time to face the fact that you probably will not do this. And maybe if you haven't done it already, maybe you're not supposed to do it. And that's really why we've set up our process the way that we have. And that is on a call before we actually start getting work done. We have a getting to know you call, and that includes a brain dump of everything that's going on in your business. I have found that not everybody is a project manager. That's not a prerequisite for being a successful entrepreneur, but you can align yourself with people that are good at that task and that are good at organizing all of your thoughts. Look, I'm not a finisher myself. Like, I love starting new things. I think that's very entrepreneur typical. I love new ideas. I love starting new things. I'm really terrible at finishing. I've just owned that fact. But what I've realized is that I can hack my downfall by bringing other people in to support me through that. And so what I would say is you probably just need to look for somebody that can handle that kind of environment. Maybe that means somebody that's a little bit higher level, that they know what they're getting into. They know that you're going to just simply brain dump and you need them to help you sort through things. Personally, I have found that having somebody on my team that I can verbally process has helped me sort through a lot of things that I've not been able to sort out on my own, just having that verbal processing. So I would encourage you, if that's you, find someone, like maybe it's even just a project manager that could help you sort through things. And maybe it's going through eliminating non-essentials, the first step in our process working with clients. We have a freebie for that. So if you're interested in doing that all by yourself, that would be awesome. You've got to figure out, how can I start taking steps forward to get out of this spiral?
Yeah, and you talk about your process. I think you've got a 3-step process. Just quickly take us through that.
I do. So the very first step is to eliminate all non-essentials. We look at 2 things. We look at your monetization efforts and your marketing strategies. There's a chance that a lot of those things can be eliminated. So we look at those 2 things, and then the 2 questions I ask about each of those categories is, what is your heart telling you to do? Which is so ironic, right? Like, I built a business initially that my heart was not in. So I see how important this is. What is your heart saying about all these things that you're doing? Does it align with what you want? And what does the data say? Those two things are really going to show you what 20% you should be focusing on so that you can continue to get 80% of the results. The second phase, our 3-step process, is automation and delegation. I like to put these two together because a lot of entrepreneurs should not be doing their own automation. They should delegate the automation. Yes. However, you don't want to outsource to people that are going to just do work a very laborious way. Like if there's a way to automate a task, it needs to be done. Otherwise, you're throwing money out the window, right? So we work with our clients to figure out how can we automate as much as we're doing, and then the rest of it we'll do manually. That's fine. And then the third step is at generating effort-free income. You could also call this for us like white label or maybe passive income. We like to partner with our clients to make sure that we're adding to the bottom line in their business. So for one of our clients, she teaches how to speak on stages. And she has some of her VIP clients who, in addition to coaching, they want some done for you support. So they're looking to her to like actually find stages and pitch her for the stages and like do all of that behind the scenes. What we do is we partner with her to provide that support to her clients. So we sell that service to her for like $750, and she then sells it to her VIP clients for over $1,000. What that does is that client is able to say, my team generates profit. Like the profit doesn't just rest on my shoulders. I have a profit producing team. And that's the ultimate win for us because that creates job security all around.
Excellent. And your version of 80-20, right? What do you know that many may not about the 80-20 rule?
Oh, that's a great question. My very simplistic answer is I know that it works and a lot of people don't. Yes. I think that a lot of people think that it's a really great theory, but they've not investigated it and they've not looked at what does this mean. And for me, it means breaking it down into categories. Like I said, how are you monetizing and how are you marketing, and looking at those as individual silos. So I guess I've just taken a deeper dive into how to analyze my efforts in a way that shows me that the 80-20 theory is actually factual if you think about it in the right way.
I use Toggle. I track all my time. And for me, it's, I've got to be spending 50% of my time on sales and marketing. And I'm amazed when I first come in, I do a diagnostic like you do, eliminate the non-essentials. For me, it's more about, what are my clients really going to focus on, which I know you help your clients, which is brilliant, a great point of difference to a lot of VA companies that I've worked with. But it's really, tracking where are you spending the time that only you could do. And once back Coca-Cola, they said, only are you doing the things only you can do, or are you sitting on your team? And I always remember that, not just because of the image of, hang on, why would I sit on my team? But it's more from the fact that only do the things that you can do. So everything else can be done by your team. So I think that is a great tie into that 80-20. And the last question in the build section is, how do you drive traffic? You've been at this now for 6 years, but what have you found at the moment, especially in these uncertain times, is one of the best ways to get leads and drive traffic for your business?
We have really pivoted. So what took me to 6 figures and then to almost $200,000 was a lot of referrals. I actually produced $100,000 worth of sales from going to one conference and making enough connections at that conference and pitching myself in such a niche way. So I pitched myself as a virtual assistant agency that specialized in online shows because that was what was being pitched to these people at the event, that they needed to do an online show to build a list. And I was raising my hand going, I could do that for you. And that picking that niche enabled me to close $100,000 in 10 months, which was just insane to me. And that produced a lot of referrals because people just really understood what I did and they knew a lot of people that needed my service. We have since really capitalized on going out and me educating people on this 3-step process, things like podcasts like this. This is what I do to get our name out there. I also love showing up in other people's like communities, like say their Facebook group or their like membership area or their mastermind community. I am personally on a mission to eradicate entrepreneurial stress. And I feel like if I can spend, an hour with somebody and help another person eliminate the stress in their business, it's worth my time. And being able to give from that place has actually produced profit for me, which is just mind-boggling. And it's why I now believe that when entrepreneurs say, I love what I do, like I believe it because I love what I do. That is not a cop-out. It is my reality. I just help other people avoid the pitfalls that I had needed to avoid and that I help my clients avoid.
Excellent. Well, before we go into the live section, I would like to help you build your authority on LinkedIn in these uncertain times. You can go to blgclick.com and watch our pre-recorded free masterclass. I go through 3 key secrets. So 1 is how do you get more views? 2 is how do you actually get engagement from your ideal clients? And 3 is how do you convert those engagements into lasting relationships? So just go to blgclick.com and you can watch my free pre-recorded masterclass. I think, at the moment, if you're a solopreneur and with Kristen's help, you can actually get a lot of support to do the activities on LinkedIn that can really help you be successful. And whether it's getting direct clients right now or building the relationship when, the economy turns back post-COVID-19, you'll be in a fantastic place. So the live section, the first question I've got for you, Kristen, is what daily habits make you successful?
Realizing that I don't have to do things alone is honestly the thing that has made me successful. Realizing that I can ask for help and that asking for help produces opportunities for other people that they may be praying for. That idea it's fulfilled me in so many ways, and it's helped just eliminate the glass ceiling in my own potential. I've realized that by doing business together and doing life together, the impact that I can make, the profit that I can make, all of these things, there is no limit to it. It's just so fulfilling to me. So yeah, that's the biggest thing. I don't have to do it alone. And I've learned how to get good at inviting other people into what I'm doing in all aspects.
When I was doing some research, it said that you work 5 hours a week. Is this correct?
Yes, I spend 5 hours per week running the agency. That's all it requires of me. That time typically includes some sales calls and some team support and things like this, like being on podcasts or doing trainings. It's really quite incredible.
Yes. So what are obviously you've got an amazing team, but what else helps you to get to that 5 hours? Because I know a lot of people listening out, it's a bit like when Tim Ferriss, did his 4-hour work week. It was like, everyone's like, and in Australia, we always call BS, right? So, that's BS. That's not real. And I'm sure a lot of people listening right now is, sure, Kristen, it's for the podcast, you say 5 hours, but you don't really do it. Like, how have you got to that 5 hours?
I am so particular at what I say yes to. So for starters, I have built my business around the expertise of the team that I had. So I didn't start out with an agency that does what we do today. So we didn't start out by serving solopreneurs. We started out, what took us to 6 figures was a very niche offering, and that was offering online show support. It was a system that I could put into place. It was very systematizable. And so it was very easy to train the people working for me to do that. So I build everything that I monetize is built around the skills of other people. That's kind of my secret. So when I sell, I'm selling you on how amazing my team is, which has also proven to be a really great mindset hack for me as I've grown in my entrepreneur journey, because I didn't always have a ton of confidence in myself, because coming off of making $5,000 for the year, like I was at a low there. Like I didn't have a ton of self-confidence. But when I realized that I could sell on the amazingness of the people that I surrounded myself with, that was like, oh my gosh, this is easy. Like I could do this all day long because I truly believe in these people. I love them and I think they're amazing. It's so easy to sell their services. So I've built a business around the expertise of other people. And I feel like I kind of like, I mean, I want to say I lucked out, but I guess I was just very strategic. I get to be the face of this, and it's this huge blessing for me. So I have removed myself from being the center of the show, I guess you would say. Like, and sometimes my ego wants me to be the center of attention, and my ego wants me to like do all the things and rescue the people and like, oh, I know how to make that web page look better, or I could write that copy better. But I have refrained from being the superhero, and I've refrained from those ego hits and allowed my company to have a life of its own while I just lead the vision of it.
Yeah, well, look, very impressive, and practicing what you preach, I think, is a brilliant way to run a business. And for you, as I said before, people will be listening to this. I think we'll definitely still be in COVID-19 and the pandemic. What have you learned through this experience that will change you and your business moving forward?
I have learned that transparent leadership is very necessary. Our business has taken a hit because of COVID. The new clients that we signed in the new year, they faced the financial uncertainty that the rest of the world did. And so a lot of our new clients and the new effort that we had put in and all that excitement for us, it felt like the rug really got ripped out from under us. But what I had to remind myself is, look, remember, Kristen, you are leading leaders, and leaders need to be brought into the vision of your company. Like, you don't have to carry this weight alone. Remember all of these people that you have, like they are so talented. And so what I have done is I've been honest about where we are. Like, look, things are challenging, and I have, we're not going to stop going after new business, but it's a bit more challenging now because a lot of people have a lot of financial insecurity, and it requires investment to invest with us, right? And what's happened in that is my team has really stepped up and shown up in ways that they never would have had I not been transparent about, some of the personal struggles that I've had. And so what we've done is we've actually started creating training materials for other virtual assistants that want to become agency owners, because we're seeing a new need in the market. A lot of people that don't have jobs are wanting to get into the virtual assistant industry. Well, we have the skills to teach that. And so my team is like, well, here's all the ways that we could serve those people. And it's interesting because my team is driving so many ideas for this new department, I guess you could say, that we're working on internally. And again, it's like more of my business being built on the ideas and skills and ambitions and passions of the people that I've surrounded myself with. It's really a beautiful thing. And
we talked about your husband, James, before, and it sounds like you fired him, but that may be just me reading between the lines in the wrong way. But James is listening right now. What would you like to say to him about the support he's given you?
Oh my gosh. My husband believes in me, and sometimes I just wonder why. I wouldn't actually be an entrepreneur if he hadn't planted the seed in me. My ambitions as a young girl was to work in New York City and work for some big magazine. And what he told me was, babe, I always thought that you would just be the boss. Why would you ever work for somebody else? And him saying that was like, what? Why would I be the boss? I can't do that. And he would really challenge that. Why not? Why can't you? And so he exposed me to this whole entrepreneur thing, and has done things like, quit these really amazing jobs to move into his parents' house. And he took up some really kind of awful work to support our family so that I could have the ultimate freedom to, just pursue this thing. And he never once said, hey, Kristen, maybe it's time that you go back to a job. Like, get your head out of the clouds. He never has said that to me. And I am just so grateful for that. I'm so fueled by his belief in me. It's been truly incredible.
Well, the next section's the give section. I know this is something very close to your heart, and you definitely, inspired me from reading it. So I'd love for you to tell people listening now is, what's a charity or a community that you're passionate about and why?
My husband and I are passionate about foster care. So we became foster parents in 2017 because, frankly, we got into it because I didn't have the maternal instinct to have children of my own. I need to figure this out by age 30. Do I want to have children or do I not want to have children? Like, I don't want my indecision to be a decision. I need to be purposeful about this. So we went to a meeting about adoption and discovered foster care and realized that there was this incredible need for people to step in and become foster parents. So with much trepidation, we stepped into taking one step at a time towards getting licensed as foster parents. We felt like that was really a silent promise to God for us. Like, look, Lord, we're going to step into this one step at a time. If it's what you have for our life, then so be it. And if not, we're okay with that too. So anyways, about a year after starting the process, we got a call and our son came home to us at 10 days old. And he was adopted at 19 months. He's now 2.5 years old. And we are talking about going right back into foster care again. There's just such a need. And we are so blessed beyond words to have grown our family in this way.
Excellent. Well, really appreciate you sharing that. So the last section's the action section, where I'll ask you some questions and get some rapid fire responses. So the first one is, what's your top 3 personal effectiveness tips?
Don't do it alone. Guard your energy. Do things that are increasing your energy, not draining your energy. And do things that light you up. Build a life and a business around what truly drives you.
And what's a piece of technology that's essential for you and your team to run the business?
We run everything on Asana, just like you.
Yeah, love Asana. What's your best source of new ideas?
I really like the author Mike Michalowicz. He kind of sparks a lot of ideas for me. He's written some incredible books. But I'll tell you this, I actually try to limit my consumption as much as possible because I find that getting other people's ideas too much really stunts my creativity. So I guard my time really well around that.
And I think, did he write Ready, Aim, Fire? Or Ready, Fire, Aim? Anyway, we'll put it in
His newest is Fix This Next. My favorite is Run Like Clockwork.
Excellent. Well, we'll put the links to that in the show notes for sure. And the last one, and it's the big one, right? I leave it to the end for that very reason. But what impact do you want to leave on the world?
I want to help entrepreneurs see and understand that your work life can be a source of fulfillment, that it doesn't have to be draining. When I say that I'm on a mission to eradicate entrepreneurial stress, that is not lip service. If I could sit in the same room as you, I would look at you in the eye and I would say, you can build a business that lights you up. You can build a business that energetically fuels you so that you can go out and can continue to make an impact in the rest of the world outside of your work. You have the freedom to choose what you do as a business owner. So let's choose wisely and let's do the things that light us on fire.
Excellent. Well, thanks, Kristen. You've shared so much wisdom through this interview. So everyone listening, you can actually find out more and get a brilliant first step. So just go to yesbossva.com/work less make more. So that's yesbossva.com/work less make more. And that'll be in the show notes. And we'll also pop that free elimination link in the show notes as well. So brilliant having you on. And thanks for you for getting rid of stress in entrepreneurial lives, which is so important at all times, but in particular today. Great to have you on, Kristen. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It was such a pleasure being here and chatting with you.
Thank you. Bye. I really enjoyed that interview with Kristen. It brought back many memories of running my own VA business. So you can get all the show notes at buildlivegive.com. What is your biggest takeaway from Kristen? Please share on your socials and mention her. She would love that. If you believe someone you know would benefit from this show, please share. I'm sure there's so many people out there that are just doing too much of DIY themselves. You can learn the 3 secrets to building your authority on LinkedIn in our free pre-recorded masterclass. Just go to blgclick.com. Please take action to build your business and lifestyle. And most importantly, stay well.
Thank you for listening to the Build, Live, Give podcast. If you like what you heard, please subscribe and leave us a review. It would mean the world to us.